Next example. This was the Christ Health Center. And they also have a Belfast, Maine billing address. Also P.O. Box 14,000, it's attention 16706M, Christ Health Center. I saw a doctor and a nurse at Christ Health Center, two different locations, the Woodlawn location and the Springville Road, Old Springville Road location, Birmingham, Alabama. Now, one thing about this visit, I was billed almost the same amount of money to see a doctor as a nurse practitioner. And I'll show you the bill here, all right? $109 for Dr. Terry Daniel Smith. He now goes by the name T. Daniel Smith. He's been promoted. And he's working at Andrew Sports Medicine, St. Vincent's Hospital, downtown on the south side, Birmingham, Alabama, Ascension. $109 for this doctor and $107 for nurse practitioner Anna Musgraves. All right, so there's quite a bit of experience and schooling that separates a nurse practitioner from a doctor. Why was I charged almost the same amount of money for both of these visits? They did absolutely nothing for me. So I went to both of these to try to get a referral for an MRI scan, which I urgently needed. And this was in May of 2019. So Terry Daniel Smith, he wanted to pursue another course of treatment. He told me he would not give me an MRI scan or even a referral if I didn't do this, that, and some other thing. And we had a major disagreement in treatment. Okay, now I'm the patient, all right, and I'm a big proponent of patients' rights. And I'm the final arbiter, and I have the final say-so on my own health care. I reserve that right when I go to these doctors and nurses, all right? And that's because I don't have any money, I don't have an income, I have no insurance, and oftentimes what I find is the various doctors and nurses, they want to go on fishing expeditions, all right? They don't have to pay for it, so they don't consider these things. And on top of that, many of these are multimillionaires. They issue and request all these tests and various procedures, which are fine and dandy, but there's just one issue. Maybe I can't pay for them. All right, so it doesn't really matter what they do. I can't afford it. And so this is a big problem. So Terry Daniel Smith, he wouldn't even give me a referral for an MRI scan, which I desperately needed. And so I walked out. A few days later, I saw Nurse Anna Musgraves, and I'll show the pictures from this scan that I had to get on my own at American Health Imaging on the south side of Birmingham near UAB just a few days later. You can see where the pebble-sized piece of bone broke off from the underside of my skull, surrounded by massive infection. This is why I needed the MRI. Now, Musgraves told me that I needed the MRI. She gave me 3 recommendations to pursue for financial assistance, and she told me that when I had secured the MRI one way or another, to call her and she would give the MRI referral. All right. So the 3 financial assistance avenues that she gave me to pursue, these did not lead anywhere. I was either denied or I did not qualify for any form of financial assistance. I finally found an MRI facility, American Health Imaging, downtown Birmingham, that would do the MRI if I supplied a referral and $500 cash to pay for the MRI scan. So I'm sitting there in the lobby, and I paid my money. I'm waiting to get the MRI scan. I have them call Anna Musgraves in the Christ Health Center, downtown Birmingham. They're put on hold for 15 minutes. And then Christ Health Center They hung up the phone with American Health Imaging. They would not give the promised MRI referral that I needed. Well, thank God that American Health Imaging, they decided that they were going to do my MRI anyways. So they gave it to me under a self-referral. From the visit with Dr. Terry Daniel Smith, I was also sent a bill and charged for an electrocardiogram and hemoglobin blood test, which I was not given. And you can see here in the records where he mentions this himself. He admits this. I was charged money for procedures that were not performed on me. Services not rendered. And yeah, so yet again, I'll show this record I obtained later from Nurse Anna Musgrave. He refused labs to call if he needs anything else from us. Happy to help. To ED for worsening SS, consider psych etiology, although he refuses to discuss this as an option. So she puts down my symptoms as a psychological issue in nature. Basically, it's a figment of my imagination. All right. So here are the MRI scans from a few days later that she would not give me the referral she promised me in the first place. And you can see here, this is not psychological in nature. This is a very physical issue that shows up in MRI, magnetic resonance imagery. Very serious issue. I almost died from this. And I couldn't get many doctors to offer any kind of help. Alright, so these are the various institutions that are using this Belfast, Maine post office box for patients to send these bills in from these various medical services, or mis-services, we should say. Because as you can see here, they didn't do much for me, alright? And they're charging me all this money, asking me to send them to this location. If you live in the city of Belfast, Maine, you need to look into this stuff, because these various medical institutions, doctors, nurses, they may be engaged in some type of fraud. Possibly the hospital side may be involved in patient dumping. And if this happened to me, I'm sure I'm not the only one. And this definitely needs to be investigated.